Hi, I'm Rick Flume, bankruptcy attorney in San Antonio. What we're going over in this episode is the dreaded cross-collateral provision. That's the provision in a loan agreement with a credit union where you have your vehicle loan. And the vehicle loan will have a security agreement that allows them to repo the vehicle for non-payment. Well, that's easy to understand. It said that you're giving this security interest to secure repayment of your vehicle loan. But it has a little kicker there, and it says, as well as any other amount you now owe or will owe the credit union. And so in this situation here, we have Joe and Mary, and the titles for their Tundra and CRV are there as collateral for the Tundra and CRV loans, but they're also collateral for the other debts at Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. And they have some credit card debts over there at Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. They also have some personal loans over there at Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. And so I usually tell people, I say, hey, did you realize that the credit card is an extension of the car loan? No, it's not. No, it's not. No, yes, it is. No, it's not. And I tell them, look at this little provision here. It says you're giving this interest to secure repayment of your loan. That's the Tundra, as well as anything else you now owe or will owe the credit union. That's the credit card and all that. And they go, well, what does that mean? And I say, well, what that means is that if you don't pay the credit cards or the personal loans, then they can go repo the Tundra, even if you're current on the Tundra payment. And they're like, Well, that just means that they haven't been over to the credit union. They haven't been told that by the credit union yet, because they usually don't tell you that until you start missing payments on the credit cards and personal loans. And so how is that going to affect his situation? Well, let's take a look a little closer at their situation to see. Joe and Mary, their income here, $4,500 a month. Now when we look at their expenses here for house payment, utilities, food, clothing, laundry, and all that, everything totals $4,255 right before they get to the vehicles. Now we get into the vehicles. We have the Toyota Tundra, we have the Honda CRV, each of them $390. Now the other payments, they're secured by the titles to the Tundra and the CRV. So those other payments to Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union have to be paid. And when you add that up, that's $53 and change. And so each month they're short $835. And that's why before they came in, he was selling golf clubs and tools and equipment just to get by. And so since they're running out of income before they get to the vehicle payments and the other debt there at Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union, my concern is how long is it going to be before they start missing payments on the vehicles? It's going to be pretty soon, it looks like, unless there's a large increase in income. Now the other thing in there, that cross-collateral provision, if you have a home equity loan at the credit union, that doesn't apply to all that cross-collateral stuff because they can't add more to the home loan unless they go through all these different procedures under state laws. So that would never happen. It's just usually when you have a car loan and you have something else over there at the same credit union where you have your car loan. Well, the lesson there is just don't get any other debts at a credit union that has your car loan, not even another vehicle loan. And so the solution in his situation is that he could file a Chapter 7 bankruptcy, the form of bankruptcy where there's no monthly payment. And the reason why, what we're looking at in the Chapter 7 is to see if there's any disposable income after we subtract all of these living expenses from the income. Disposable income that could then be used to pay towards the credit cards or personal loans or payday loans, whatever. And so when we do that, there's nothing left over. And since there's no disposable income, then he would go into the form of bankruptcy where there's no monthly payment. That's the Chapter 7 bankruptcy. You file it and 90 days later it's over. It'll get rid of the credit cards, personal loans, signature loans, payday loans, all that stuff. It'll also get rid of the vehicle loans, but it will get rid of the vehicles themselves, assuming you want to get rid of them. If you want to keep them, you just keep paying them. But for Joe and Mary, in order to keep the Tundra and the CRV, they also have to keep the other credit card and signature loan at Randolph Brooks. If they don't, they'll never get the title to that. And if they don't pay the credit cards, they could get the Toyota Tundra and the Honda CRV repoed. And I've seen that done. I mean, I've seen some kid came in my office, he was probably in his 20s or 30s. And so he came in and he said, you know, I had my vehicle repoed and I was current on my vehicle. And I go, let me guess. your vehicle is financed through a credit union, and over at that same credit union you have a credit card and you're behind on the credit card payments. He goes, how'd you know? Are you a mind reader? I said, no, that's the only way it happens. You're at a credit union, you owe them something else. And so you just got to watch out for that. Now, in a Chapter 7, what I recommended to Joe is you go through the Chapter 7 and surrender these. Give them back, because there's no way you can afford to pay over $1,000 to keep the vehicles and all that together. And then the other thing there is, when you give those back, and then I give you the name of somebody that can get you financed in another vehicle possibly after you file the bankruptcy case. And you have to go to somebody that is used to getting people financed after they file a bankruptcy case. And he goes, you can get that done? And you know what? He's in car sales himself, and he had a question about that. Well, yes, but you have to go to somebody that regularly handles that type of situation. And so I send information as to Liz, and she can get him qualified for that. 1, maybe 2 vehicles, I don't know. It really depends on what his budget can afford. And so the other thing there is that you got to give the vehicles back in the context of the bankruptcy case. Well, you got about 75 days to do that. And so it gives you time to get something lined up to replace the vehicles. The other thing we were looking at is, what about using a tax refund that you'd be getting in the next few months, using that as a way to buy a cash car and then maybe only finance the purchase of 1 vehicle. And so that's another thing we would take a look at. But the main thing here in this is that you've got the cross-collateral provision. Both of the vehicles are tied up at Randolph Brooks, and anything else you owe at Randolph Brooks Federal Credit Union. And so just be aware of that. If you have 1 car loan at a credit union, do not get anything else at that credit union. And then that way you won't have to be burdened by the cross-collateral provision. I hope that helps. Have a good day.